to do that. So I'm hoping I do it right. All right, this is our CrossKids COVID-19 policy and procedure training. It's good to have everybody here today. We're going to go over the documents that we sent you guys in email form and just cover some more specifics for all of y'all. The first thing we're going to talk about is our parent policies for COVID-19. Every week, indefinitely, until we get a good handle on how many kids we're going to have, we're going to send the parents an email getting them to register their kids for Wednesdays and for Sundays so we can plan accordingly to what kind of crowd we're going to have. Our first email is actually going to go out this week to our parents. We're going to, of course, leave some buffer room for guests and things like that, but that way we can just have some idea of how many kids we're going to have. Every week when we send that email out too, we're going to be emailing our parents their guidelines. And I'm going to just go over those with you guys so that way you know what they're going to be doing and their expectations are. So when they drop their kids off, you know what should have already been handled. The first thing that we're asking them to do is to label all of their belongings and only bring necessary items to church. So that's going to be like diaper bags, Bibles, and offering. If for some reason they do not label those items, we do have masking tape and Sharpies available to put names on items. But we're going to try to keep items to a minimum that we do get and make sure that everything's got a label, pacifiers are attached to the babies, all of those good things. We're also asking that parents check their child's temperature before they drop their child off and that they review our wellness policy. We'll go over the wellness policy when we talk about the servant procedures because it's the same for both. If for some reason they do not check their child's temperature, we do have thermometers available at our check-in desk stations. We're not expecting check-in desk workers to take everybody's temperature as they arrive, but they are there. Or if you have someone gets dropped off in your class and you're like, they don't sound like they're really 100% healthy, you can just say, hey, would you mind going and get your temperature taken really quick and just check in with Miss Jen or Miss Deanna or a team leader, and we can just kind of assess the situation ourselves to see if we feel like they're healthy enough to be in class. When the parents arrive, we're asking that one parent drop off their children. That's going to limit the amount of people that we have on our hallways to keep them a little less crowded. And we're going to ask that the same parent that drops off be the same parent that picks up their children too. At the check-in stations, we are asking our parents to not touch those. We're wanting our check-in desk workers to be the only point of contact there when possible. We know that we are well aware that everyone is a servant and we're thankful for them and they're not paid to be here. So we are dependent upon those check-in desk workers being in place on time. So if you are a check-in desk worker, it's super important to be there early. If you are not a check-in desk worker and you see that need to be filled, like by all means, please jump in and help there too. That way we're not having numerous parents and kids touching the check-in desks. Maintain as much distance as others from in the hallway as possible. So we're going to ask them to exit the hallway quickly after they get their kid to keep the traffic moving. So once they get their babies out of their room, friendly reminders to them just to say, hey, we want you guys to have fun and talk, but please do it outside, just so we can keep the traffic flow going well. And we are not requiring masks at CrossPoint, but we do strongly encourage people to wear them. We've seen the numbers drop in recent days, and we know that masks have a big part in that. So we do want to strongly encourage you to wear them, especially when we're in motion. So in hallways, when you're passing people and you cannot maintain that distance, wearing a mask is it's a great idea and it's a great help. All right, does anyone have any questions? If you do, you can unmute yourself and ask the question about those policies. If not, we can move on. All right, up next are going to be our CrossKids procedures that you guys received this in email too. We're just going to go through these bullet points, and after we get done, you can ask questions if you have any. The first one is to review the wellness policy to make sure you meet the requirements before serving. So that's the same thing for our parents that it's going to be for our servants, and our servants is going to be listed on this piece of paper that you got emailed, but it's the same on both. And the wellness policy is the same general wellness policy that we've always had in place at CrossPoint. It's been in our handbook for years, but we've added in a COVID-19 wellness policy in addition to that. And that wellness policy states that we need to be aware of the symptoms of having fever and chills, cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, and diarrhea. I'm well aware, and I know you guys are all too, kids are going back to school. My baby's back in daycare. She has a snotty nose right now, and her snotty nose is just part of being in daycare. I know that she's fine, and we are continuing about life. So use your judgment on those things. If you're like, oh, I've got a runny nose, but I always get a runny nose this time of the year, then it's okay just to continue to come to church anyway. But if you're noticing that symptoms are abnormal, that's when we need to make sure that we're staying home. You also need to be fever-free for 24 hours without fever-reducing medication, which is what we've always had in place. Here's one that is got a lot of exceptions here. If you have been diagnosed with COVID-19, you have to be fever-free for 24 hours without medication, allow 10 days to pass from the onset of your symptoms, and your symptoms have to have improved. So we want to make sure that y'all meet those 3 milestones before you return if you've been diagnosed. If you are asymptomatic and have been diagnosed with COVID-19, allow 10 days to pass from that positive test result. These are the guidelines that the CDC are giving us, and if they change, we will alter them. But as for now, this is what the CDC is telling us is best practice. If someone you've been in close contact with has COVID-19, wait 14 days before returning from your last exposure. So if someone in your household has COVID-19, let's just stay home and wait it out and give it a couple of Sundays before you come back. That way we can ensure that we're not spreading anything at church. I did get asked last training, what happens if a child in the class or a servant gets diagnosed with COVID-19? Yes, we will contact everyone in that class, and yes, we will ask anyone that was not able to maintain 6 feet or 15 minutes or more to quarantine for 2 additional Sundays past that point. And if you've been on antibiotics, wait 24 hours before returning. And if there are any questions, just remember, like, before they drop the child off in the room, I would rather y'all say, hey, let's go get Jen, Deanna, or somebody and make sure that everything's okay. That way they're not exposing kids in the room if it's not necessary. Okay, bullet point number 2 is volunteers need to give as much notice as possible if you will not be able to serve. We have 300 volunteers on a good week. Right now we're struggling to hit that number, but but we run about 300 volunteers, which means a whole lot of coordinating, and as you can imagine, and the more notice we have of you being out, the better. Our Saturdays are just like your Saturdays. We're running kids to ball games and trying to get our yards cut and doing all of those things. So if we don't know until a Saturday that there's a need for a volunteer position to be filled, sometimes we're doing all of the things that keep us busy too, and we don't see that. And we want to make sure that we're prepared for Sunday to roll around. So the sooner we know, the better on if you're not going to be here. For instance, if you found out you were exposed, someone in your house has COVID-19 on a Tuesday, please let us know that Tuesday, because it's not going to change by the time Sunday rolls around. And that way we can go ahead and start trying to fill the gaps then. If for some reason, let's say that we get the volunteer signups going, or the children signups going, and we see that we've only got 5 4K kids, or let me use 5K kids total between the 2 classes. We will contact you and let you know, hey, we've only got enough kids to warrant 1 5K class this Sunday. And what we're going to do is we're going to just have you on a sub list, and we'll let you know if we need you to fill in when it's your given Sunday. That way you're not having to prepare an extra lesson or anything like that, but you know that there's a possibility that someone's going to call out, especially given all the symptoms that we have on this COVID-19 list. It seems very extensive. So yes, we will keep you on retainer on your given Sunday until we know for sure that we don't need you. If we have like 6, 7, 8 kids, we may just still go ahead and split it into 2 classes and have a smaller group of children. That way we can social distance as much as possible. So we do want to keep our class sizes small when we're able to, and when we have enough servants to make that happen. All right, the next thing is volunteers who serve in babies through 3K classes need to remove their name tag while in the classroom. This was something we were going to do prior to all of this anyway. I've just noticed a lot of children tend. Do you have your name tag on?
I do.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have mine on. I'm bad. They pull this magnet off, and that's like just a major choking hazard. It's super dangerous. So we're going to ask that y'all pull those name tags off. You can actually stick them to, I'm pointing to my door frame back here if you can see it. The metal door frame right there, they stick to that. So you can just put them on there when you come in to serve. And that way we don't have to worry about our babies choking on those. Volunteers who serve with babies and toddlers will either need to remove their shoes or place shoe covering over their shoes. So now when you come in the Harbor hallway, the Birth to 3K hallway, you're going to see shoe racks out there where you can place your shoes, and you're going to see baskets of clean socks and disposable shoe coverings in there. And we're just asking that you cover up your feet before you come in, and that way we're not tracking in any extra germs that could be brought in when our babies are crawling on the floor and then they're putting things in their mouth. It did get asked, if you're in bed babies, is it necessary to cover your shoes? And no, it's not. They're not on the floor. However, in my head, I don't think we're going to have as many babies, which means that there may be some babies crawling in a room and some bed babies in a room, which means that, yes, you would need to cover your shoes. Also got asked, what about toddlers? Are they taking their shoes off? And no, we're not going to make the toddler volunteers take everybody's shoes off. That would probably take up the whole entire class hour. Even though they like to, yes, we don't expect you to take those off and put them back on. However, it's reducing germs somewhat for the adults to take them off, and that's helpful. We're walking a lot more than toddlers are. Toddlers are being carried most of the time when they go place to place anyway, so it's not going to be as big of an exposure as an adult shoes.
And if they can, and wear their socks.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. And if you have tennis shoes on with socks, you can wear your own socks and take your tennis shoes off. That's fine. But if you've got on like church sandals and your feet have been exposed to all the cooties walking in, if you would just cover them up, that would be great. The next thing, volunteers who serve with babies and toddlers will need to wear a smock or a CP shirt when serving. In the classrooms now, we've ordered a plethora of, they're called cobbler aprons, which is the most manly thing that I could find, I promise you, to put over your clothes. That way you don't have to feel super uncomfortable if you're a guy. But if you're just completely opposed to wearing an apron, we did put some cross-point shirts in there too that you can put on over your shirt. And that way it's clean and there's no germs on it. And it's just got the germs of our church on it, which they're getting exposed to anyway. And that way when you're snuggling a baby, we've got less exposure for them when they're against your clothes. Check-in desk volunteers will need to be the only point of contact. We've already went through that when we talked about the parent policies. Volunteers will need to wash their hands upon arrival for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. All of our babies through 3K classrooms have sinks and soap in them. And our 4K, 5K team, y'all will just need to go use the main restrooms and wash your hands there. The best way to get germs off your hands is by washing them. It's better than sanitizer when you're able to wash them. And if you're wondering how long 20 seconds is, if you sing happy birthday to you 2 times through in your head, that's about 20 seconds. If you sing it out loud, I will know what you're doing, and it may make me laugh a little. So by all means, sing away. The next thing is volunteers will need to sanitize 3K through 5th grade hands as they arrive and dismiss and before snacks. So there's sanitizer in all the rooms, and y'all already do this anyway. It's just a reminder to continue to do it. It's just to sanitize the kids' hands. We did not write 2K on there because we're going to need those with the littles to make a judgment call on if they're going to eat the sanitizer or if they're going to actually have sanitized hands. And that may be something that progresses as the year goes on and they're mature enough to handle it, but y'all can use your judgment call if you're serving in those rooms. Treasure boxes will be suspended. Instead, children can have a sticker or individually wrapped candy. Only the volunteers will be passing out the prizes, and only candy that's provided by CrossPoint can be used. We're still making sure our babies have fun at church. That's not going to change. But we just don't want them digging through a treasure box and having all those extra cooties in those. So we will have candy provided to you guys in the rooms. If you guys know of a specific candy that the littles like, or if they really like a kind of sticker that we put in there, let us know and we'll get more of it. We want to make sure that they're excited and the rewards are good for them. Next is communal supplies will not be used. This includes Play-Dohs, markers, crayons, pencils, scissors, etc. Children will receive a pencil pouch with necessary supplies for individual activities. So each classroom now has, from 2K through 5K and really through 5th grade, they have pencil pouches in there. And each pencil pouch has a piece of masking tape where you can write the kid's name on it. And that's going to be their designated pencil pouch as if they were in school to use when they come to church. You can put those in their pocket folders or you can keep them in the drawer. But it's going to have crayons and glue in them and scissors additionally if they're in 4K, 5K. If you are a 4K, 5K teacher and you do not want your kids to have scissors, by all means take them out and put them in the scissor basket. Don't worry about it. But they will be available in there. And if they need additional supplies, we're going to put those in there week by week. If you're serving with toddlers, we did disposable bags of crayons for each kid. And that way y'all can just toss the crayons every Sunday and get new ones out. If y'all just keep an eye on it and let us know when they get low. We just felt like it was going to be a lot for toddlers to remember to put their crayons back in their bags. And Lindsay is probably like, thank you very much for not making me keep up with all of their crayons. If their crayons break, they need new crayons. The crayon baskets are still in the classrooms. You can replace their crayons with what's available in there. Face masks are strongly encouraged but not required, especially when social distancing cannot occur. We've already talked about that. Next is when your opinion about the new policies, procedures, or COVID-19 is asked, just stay positive. Everyone is scared. Everyone is carrying anxiety with them. So we get to be the light of Christ at church and everywhere we go. And no, we do not want to put all these new policies in place, but we're doing what we can to make sure that we are keeping you guys safe and our kids safe. So if you get asked about it, if you'll just remember that we're doing what we can for you guys, and that will help keep the attitude positive at CrossPoint, which is usually never a problem anyway, because we have a great church full of lots of great people. The next thing is keep a conversation about COVID-19 to a minimum when you're in the classroom. Kids have already had their worlds turned upside down this year, and talking about this is not going to help the situation at all. Let's just keep our conversations Christ-focused, even among adults, and away from COVID-19 when at all possible. The last thing is it's imperative that I only have one serving holding each baby when possible. So although we are not always able to do one-on-one with our babies, most of the time you guys know that we are. So when you're serving in the baby room, whatever baby you get when they walk in is the baby you're going to hold on to until you leave. And that way we're not passing the baby back and forth, exposing that child to numerous people. Is there anything that I forgot? Anything you can think of?
Did you mention the sign? We are going to do the sign up juniors for the. I know you
Yes.
were talking about. Okay, I just didn't know if they heard that part.
Okay, I think that is everything. And if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask away.
Hey,
Yes, ma'am.
are the teenagers still going to be able to help?
Yes,
Yes,
I
please.
need to get Brandy to watch the video then because I
I'm
forgot.
recording it and I'm going to email it to everybody that missed it.
Okay, great.
We love our teenage help.
Yes, we do.
She has really, really, really missed it.
She is fabulous. She's
She-
like having a little adult in the room.
Yes, she is.
So Jan, will there still be like the 8 o'clock hour where it's the 4K through 5th grade, still have paper and stuff for drawing? They'll just have their own crayons and stuff, right?
Yes.
But as far as the paper will still be there for us to give them paper?
Yes, and if there's supplies that you're needing, let us know. And if we don't have it, we will get it. Or we'll try to pull it right then and there if there's something you want. But definitely no Play-Doh anymore.
Right, okay, and as far as going to the gym, you know, because many times we will go to the gym instead of staying in the room when all the kids get there.
The gym is still fine.
It is still, okay,
Yeah, they can social distance pretty well in there.
right, okay.
Any other questions? Well, we are super excited to serve with you guys again, and we love y'all. Thank y'all for hopping on this call and taking the time to go over this with us. The more people that are aware of what we're doing, the easier it's going to be when we come back. We've been sending our lessons out and getting everyone prepared for what it's going to look like the best we can. And we are super excited to see all of your babies again, too. I want to hug them all, but I'm going to just mentally hug them, so I don't, unless you give me the thumbs up and say, hug my kid, then I'll hug your kid. But we love you guys. Anything you want to say?
No, I just
Appreciate
miss all
y'all.
of you. I'm ready to see all of our babies and see all of your faces again.
Countdown is on. We are working hard to get the rooms looking beautiful for y'all.
Your rooms are going to be nice and clean and sparkly.
Thank y'all.
Glad to do it.
Yes, very thankful.
All right. If that's it, I hope y'all have a good Sunday afternoon, and I will see y'all all soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Bye.
Hi.
Everybody.
Bye.